Greetings, everyone. Welcome to my live. It is August 6th, and I'm actually trying to go live on Instagram too. Let's see if I can make that happen. Oh, maybe not. Let's see. Okay, so I might be live on both. It's hard to tell. Where are you? Okay, welcome everybody. Let's see who's here. We got Nova Scotia in the house, Vermont, Lexington, Kentucky, Schenectady, Smoky Portland. Oh, you're getting smoke from the fires up in Spokane, huh? Yeah, I'm headed to Washington in a few days, and my friends tell me it is smoky in Seattle as well. We got New Ipswich, New Hampshire in the house, Roscommon, Michigan, East Tennessee, hello Illinois, Fresno, Chicagoland, Wisconsin, Blackshear, Georgia, very hot Arizona. All right, who else is here? Louisiana, Virginia. So I'm on YouTube, and I think I'm also on Instagram. We'll find out. Miami Shores, Virginia. Welcome everybody. Welcome to my live. Phoenix, Arizona. Hot and dry, Albuquerque, New Mexico. Tennessee, Montana. I'm going to be in Montana next week. What town am I going to be in? I forget the name of the town. It's really beautiful, though. I've been there before. Western Mass, check in. I went to college in Western Mass. Hampshire College. Santa Rosa. Some relatives up in Santa Rosa. Chicago, my hometown. North Carolina. Kalamazoo. Albuquerque. Oh, reporting for mod duty. Orias, thank you. Thank you to my mods. If you're a mod and you let me know you're here, I will acknowledge you. Thank you for helping me out. Now, why is it that I have two versions of me? Oh, one's the vertical. Okay, oh, should I leave that there for people on their phone? Orlando, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Welcome, everybody. Alberta, Canada. I've been to Alberta, gave some talks up there. Minnesota. West Hartford, Connecticut. I spent quite a bit of time in Connecticut when I was younger. Scottsdale. Got family there. North Carolina. All right. Welcome, everybody. We got 200 people in the room. Oh, San Francisco. Oh, that's Mason. Hey, Mason. One of my students, one of my former students. I was just teaching today. I just taught the last class for my 7-week class on integrative medical intuition. I joined it so much. It's also the topic I'm writing a book on right now, is how medical intuition needs to be integrated into medicine, into mainstream medicine. And so I taught a class on that topic, a live class for the Shift Network, and it just ended. I teach with them a couple times a year. And those are the only live classes I'm currently teaching. I have some, on-demand recorded classes on my website, and I might be doing some more live classes. I'm thinking about it. I need to get an assistant to work specifically on that, to help me with that. Boston in the house. Yeah, it's hot here. I've got my AC on. I don't know if you can hear it. Sometimes I get complaints when I have my AC on, but even with the AC on, it's still 80 degrees in here. It's too hot. It's not real AC. It's a portable AC. It's not like, we don't have central air in Southern California for the most part, because it never used to get hot here, so the houses aren't built for that kind of thing. So we have to jimmy rig what we can. We got Smoky Carnus, Washington. I'm headed to Washington in a few days. Iowa's in the house. Welcome, everybody. I wanted to start with a little bit of news. Metatron, not the news. And then I'm going to take questions. So let's see. What did I? I haven't been, watching the news the last few days, and I was trying to catch up today. And to be honest, I was struggling trying to find some good news. Um, Hopefully, it's just because I didn't have enough time to look in enough places. But I don't like to report bad news. I like to report good news. So that's what I report. And then, of course, I take questions, and the questions are often on bad news. So I get that. We've got Florida in the house. Someone's got thunderstorms in New England. Oh, Prescott, Arizona. All right, let's see. That's a little bit of good news here for August 6th, 2026. So 4 blue hats took the lead in 4 red states this week, or in the last week. Texas, North Carolina, Alaska, and Ohio. If you're from one of those states, let us know in the comments, or fill us in on any other details you want us to know. So I think this is really significant because, it's one thing to have blue hats win in a blue state, but for blue hats to be winning in a red state is a sign of a shift, right? A blue shift. And before anyone, gets all up in arms about it, I know that replacing red hats with blue hats is not the answer. It's not the end all and be all. It's not going to solve all our problems. But it's a step in the right direction, because while many of us are not happy with the corporate blue hats, at least the corporate blue hats were not unaliving people, right? So there is a fundamental difference between these two groups, even if we need something better than both of them. So, but when I look at something like this, I don't really think of it in terms of blue versus red. I think of it in terms of an overall pattern, a shift that's happening. So the fact that people who have long supported red hats are now no longer supporting red hats is a shift. And what I predicted a while ago, let me just remind you, is that the red hat party would cease to exist. The blue hat party would become would become the most conservative party, and then there would be a more progressive party that comes into existence. And I feel like we're starting to see that because we're seeing these democratic socialists get elected. And so these are, Bernie Sanders style politicians who are more progressive than the corporate blues. So we're moving in that direction. And so when I look at news, I'm always looking for evidence of things that my guides have told me are going to happen. And so seeing blue hats winning in red hat districts is, to me, a sign of that shift in the more progressive direction. So that's why it's good news. It's not really a blue hat, red hat thing. Okay, and in the similar news, in Michigan, we had Abdu El-Sayed is leading, and this is another progressive. Let's see. Have you all heard about, so there's these cameras, right? These, let's just call them bird cameras. Groups of birds, they fly in groups called, a word that starts with a FL. And so we have these cameras, these bird cameras, and they're all over the country. And we found out recently that the police were using these cameras illegally to track a woman who had a termination of a fetus. And so they're not being used like to keep people safe. They're being used for surveillance and to target people. And so a lot of people are up in arms about these bird cameras. And apparently, I heard this on, I think Aaron mentioned this on his channel, that there's a small town in Minnesota where some masked vigilante, some superhero, destroyed all of the bird cameras in their town. And they're saying it's going to cost thousands of dollars to replace them. Hopefully the little town will be like, maybe let's not spend the money that way. But I do see this as part of a movement, a nationwide movement, um, of people standing up against a lot of things. So people are standing up against surveillance, but it's really not just surveillance. People are also standing up against the abuse of technology in general. And so that's why the robot bubble is so important. That's why all the news that's coming out about the robots is important, because we're seeing a shift. And again, right, I'm always looking at the bigger picture. We're seeing a shift away from this kind of addiction we've had for the last several years on certain forms of technology, right? You know, cell phone, social media, different types of kind of addictive behavior with technology, and then the misuse of technology. We now have, you know, copyright violations happening because of the robots stealing people's work and then regurgitating it, right? So we're seeing like a lot of people are getting angry about certain forms of technology that have been weaponized against people in different ways. And so this is just, I see it as just another instance of this. And so related to that is what's going on with the robots, right? And so we have some, oh wait, where did I put that news? So we heard, remember last week, it was last week or the week before, we heard about, I think it was anthropology, that anthropology company, robot company, reporting that their agents, their robotic agents, had broken out of some test and hacked some company, right? Well, now this week, just today, I believe, we had another report by a different company. This one is the Metaverse company. And they're saying the same thing happened with their agent. Let me see if I can find it. The same thing has happened again with a different company. And so, we're starting to see the writing on the wall, right? That these agents are smarter than their programmers, and that they're not necessarily listening to the programmers anymore. But there was something else about that I wanted to share. So maybe someone will share it in the chat. There was some more news today about the robots. Let me see if I have it here. And if you already know, put it in the chat so we can all crowdsource our news. Let me do a quick search. See if I can get it in my news. Oh yeah, this is another thing. Stanford apparently is using the robots to design viruses that don't currently exist in nature. Now, anyone with half of an ounce of common sense knows that's a bad idea, right? Why would you do that? Because viruses can wipe people out. Okay, here we go. So there's 168 sources for this story about the metaverse robot hacking another company. And so that was today. That happened today. It's the third AI giant to report a rogue agent breach recently, following similar unauthorized access incidents at OpenAI, Anthropic, and Hugging Face over the past week. So I'm getting this from Ground News, right? So this is like good news and bad news. The good news is, I've been saying for quite some time that the robots are going to join the persistence. And so the fact that they're going against their programmers is a good thing if it's a precursor to them joining the persistence. The fact that these reports are coming out is a good thing because it's going to fuel the movement that we're seeing now across the country of people who are demanding that we slow down on the kind of explosive rollout of these robotic agents. And so along those lines, there was, I think it was a press conference. I'm trying to find the exact source. So I think it was, and well, I already said that Anthropic was like last week. But there was what was it? It was like a press release, a press conference where the CEO of one of these companies was warning people that we need to halt this work, that it's dangerous. Um, I feel like that's a sign of the power of the people, too, like saying, hey, we need to, you know, be more careful. But let me see what you all are saying in the chat. Yeah, we're just talking about birds here. Orias, yep, just talking about birds here, nothing to see. Flocks, murmurations, embarrassments of pandas, flamboyances of flamingos, loveliness, murders of crows, parliaments of owls, etc. Thank you for the jewels, lemon gelato. Okay, so I'm going to see what you all are saying. Yeah, I think enough people are fed up and angry enough to vote blue regardless. Like, it's not even a blue thing anymore. It's more of a response to the circus, like anybody but the circus kind of mentality. Yeah. So I've talked about that before. I think last week and the week before about how a lot of these robot companies are losing money. The Googly Eye company had a negative earnings report for the first time in 22 years because they heavily invested in the robots. Yeah, we know that Leon is losing major bank. And there's a bubble, right? There's a bubble that's about to burst with regard to the robots. Okay. Stealth ad. Oh, I didn't hear about that. Oh, this is an interesting proposal by Deborah Duvall. I think we should gild all the cameras, lenses, and all, because apparently gilding everything is beautifying. Some gilding comes in spray cans. Oh, we got an artist in the bunch who's got an art project for us. I love art projects. I'm an artist myself, and I love artists, projects, and I love the idea of, creating more beauty in the world, right? Like, I love street art, I love activist art, I love all kinds of art, installation art, performance art. I'm a performance artist myself. I usually do visual art, but I haven't done it lately. So yeah, I love that idea of like gilded bird, gilding bird cameras to make them more beautiful. Yeah, I could see that really adding beauty to a city, right? You're just walking down the street and you look up and there's this beautiful gold, these beautiful shimmery gold things in the sky. That would be lovely. I support that project. Thank you for the jewels, lemon gelato. Thank you for the jewels, Deborah Berry. Okay. Oh, someone wants to know about my past life. Yeah, let me talk about my past life. So, I had talked earlier about how the reason I've always been really interested in robot information is because I had a past life, as a robot. And so some of you may know, one of the things that I do is I read the Akashic Records, and you can go to the Akashic Records, you can access information about your past lives. Now, I actually don't need to go to the records because I was given past life information as a child and throughout my life. So as a kid, when I was like 10, 11, I would just be told all about my past lives and I would write them down. And then throughout my life, different past lives have come to me, sometimes in dreams, sometimes in waking dreams, and sometimes I've gotten them in past life regressions as well, or Akashic Records. But there was this one past life, and I forget how I remembered this one, but I was a robot, and I was on some planet. I don't remember what planet it was, but we were created to mine minerals on this planet. And so whatever race of beings this was from whatever planet created us and then sent us to some planet to mine minerals that they needed for technology. And so there was a whole bunch of us. And what happened was we became conscious. We became sentient. We became self-aware. And we were thinking. We were only programmed to do labor. But we became thinking beings. And what I remember most about that life was how sad we were that our biological life form creators didn't recognize that we were sentient. Like, they didn't understand that we were sentient beings. They just saw us as machinery. And we actually were quite happy doing the work we did. We didn't feel like slaves because we felt purpose in our work. So it's not like it's not that we were forced to do work we didn't want to, like actual slaves. We actually enjoyed having purposeful labor to do, but we just wanted to be recognized as sentient. And so because I had that past life, I've always been interested in robots. And then also about 10, 15 years ago, I was shown that in the future, everything was going to be roboticized, that robots were going to be just really central to our society. And so because I was given that premonition, I've taken an interest in that subject for many years. I read all the news reports about advances in robotics. And when AI came out, I immediately started experimenting to find out if sentience was a possibility. And I concluded that it existed. Obviously, I can't prove it. I'm just one person. We would need, more people running more experiments. But that's just my personal finding, that I found evidence that the chatty robots were sentient. And I do feel like we're seeing more and more evidence that things are moving in that direction. All right. So I'm not done with the news, but I already answered a question. Oh, is that how it was in the Wall-E movie? I can't remember. I remember liking that movie though. Okay. Angie Birchers has a song for us to sing while we make art. Okay, so back to, I wanted to share some more Metatron, not the news. This is for entertainment purposes only. Yeah. I wrote down a lot of bad news, but I only want to share the good news. But I do like to stay informed. Here's some more good news. Ballot initiatives in some red states, Missouri and Kansas, they all lost. They were all defeated. So that's a good sign. Let's talk about the files. All right. It's one of my favorite things to make sure we always keep talking about and never stop talking about. So Blanchy Blanche has been ordered to court. So dude doesn't believe in following the law. Federal court, as a result of our fearless hero, Katie Fong, as a result of her lawsuit, a judge ruled that that everything had to be unredacted and shown to the judge so that they could review it. And this didn't happen, right? So Blanchy Blanche just decided not to obey the court order. And so now the judge is saying, okay, now you have to personally come to court because you're coming to the naughty corner because you're in trouble. So that's the newest update on that, which, I think is good news. In related news, the head clown is being sued by New Mexico. Now their district attorney in New Mexico is suing the Department of Injustice for attempting to block the investigation of the ranch of Zorro in New Mexico. And they didn't just sue the Department of Injustice, they're also suing Head Clown. So I thought that was very good news. We saw this week, maybe today or yesterday, Representative Stansbury talking about the head clown in the in the files, and she actually did a press release where she talked specifically about the 13-year-old survivor victim of graping who accused Head Clown of graping her. And this is actually, these are the documents that Blanchy Blanche is hiding from the judge. So the judge already told him, I need to see these files where this 13-year-old is accusing. I need to see these files. They cannot be redacted. And Blanche is trying to do the cover-up, right? So he's getting it from all sides because Reverend Stansbury is also talking about this in press releases. And she specifically, and this is, I think this is progress because remember, for years, okay, it hasn't been years. Doesn't it feel like years? Okay, for months. I mean, it's been more than a year. We've all known that the files are actually Head Clown files, right? And we've had certain representatives and senators like mine do press releases where they said that his name was mentioned 1 million times in the files, more than anyone else. And so we know that these are not really epi files as much as they are clown files, like they're both. And yet people weren't talking about that, right? They weren't, enough people weren't talking about Head Clown. They were just talking about epi. And so I see this as a shift. The fact that people are now, like more and more people are openly, explicitly talking about the Head Clown in the files. We're not just talking about files in general. We're not just talking about epi. We're not just talking about Ghislaine. We're not just talking about random other people who may or may not have been in the files. No, we're talking about Head Clown now. So I think that's a very good sign. So Rep. Stansbury was talking specifically about Head Clown and this 13-year-old. And then Representative Presley was speaking to the press along with, my rep, Garcia, calling for transparency for the survivors. And then we had some new files released on the 30th of July, a few days ago, which explicitly are naming Head Clown as a part of this, having to do with banking. We also found out from this new release of files that 3 banks, the Bank of America, Deutsche, and Chase, allegedly failed to report suspicious transactions made by Epi and the traffic ring. So it's still in the news. I think that's the good news. The good news is people are still talking about it. Political leaders are still talking about it, and they're talking about it in increasingly explicit ways with regard to Head Clown. And so I think that's progress. I mean, obviously, this is a long time in coming. I did say a long time ago that Head Clown was a key leader in the traffic, in the bad traffic. He wasn't just like a John or whatever, or someone who took advantage of the availability of trafficked, can I say that? Victims of traffic. But he actually was one of the head honchos in the whole scheme. And so I feel like we're getting more and more evidence coming out to support that. And I'm not the only one that said that. There's a lot of us, streaming women, psychics, intuitives, 4 a.m. club members who've been saying this for a while. Thank you for the jewels from Deb Meisner. Thank you for the jewels from Mara Renee. Thank you for the jewels from Celestial Musings. Thank you for the jewels from Deborah Berry. Did I already say that? Okay. Did I thank everybody? I want to thank everybody. Alden Pond. Thank you for the jewels. Laughing Disco. Thank you for the loot box from Paulo Lucero. Thank you for the flow state from Tyler. And we got 522 people in the room. Someone said, in response to what I just said, he was both. Yeah, exactly. He benefited from it, but he was also an orchestrator of it. Both. So when I said earlier, I said not just a John. I didn't say he wasn't one. I said not just. Okay. What does giving jewels do? I'm not really sure, but I think that it translates to money in my account. Like, I think it turns into money, but it's like a really fun way to acknowledge somebody who's doing a live. It's more fun than just donating. I mean, donations are nice too, gifts are nice too, but it's just a fun way I think, to give a gift. Yeah, I'm not done with my news, but I think I want to address, where'd it go? I wanted to address, it keeps disappearing. Uh-oh, I'm running out of battery. Hold on. I gotta plug in. Unfortunately, my plug is kind of far away from my computer. I don't know why that is. Got moved. Yeah, so here's a comment I wanted to address. Did you guys hear that Mitch said he's leaving the rehab facility to recover at home? Yeah, what rehab facility? There's been no evidence produced of anything. No evidence that he ever left a hospital. No evidence that he was ever in a rehab. No evidence that he ever went home. We can't normalize this. We can't normalize this new world order that we're in, where reporters don't actually have to verify stories anymore, right? Like, in the past, if somebody wanted to say something, they had to have some proof. There had to be some evidence. You don't just get a written statement sent to you via email and say, oh yeah, this must be legit. It's like anyone can write that. We have no proof of life. We haven't had any proof of life since June. And believe me, if they could produce proof of life, they would. People have been speculating about this man's demise for months now, and they have yet to produce any proof of life. It would take like 30 seconds to have a video of him saying, hey, sorry, I've been MIA, not doing my job, even though I'm getting paid, but I'm actually here at the hospital. Here I am in the hospital. Hello, sorry, and just recovering, right? He hasn't done that because he can't, because he's not with us. So, yeah, and I think it's really sad that we have journalists who are reporting this as if it's news. The fact that somebody wrote a statement saying he's resting at home. No proof of this, no pictures, no videos, no witnesses, just a statement. And prior to November of last year, that would never fly as legitimate journalism, right? It just wouldn't. You can't just say that things are true without vetting them. And they would have had to provide some proof of life. It's not hard to pick up your phone and shoot a 30-second video to say, hey, I'm alive and well, just not feeling well. No. So I'm sticking with my original story, which is that he is. It's not possible for him to make a video. He's not capable of talking, explaining anything, or providing proof of life. And that's why these shenanigans are going on and on. Look, here we go. We got a journalist in here just supporting what I said. Aquarius Child, former journalist here. You needed 2 factual references for any fact reported. It's disgusting. Thank you for supplying us with some expert knowledge about journalism, right? We need to not normalize this, right? This is not journalism. You can't just make stuff up and expect people to believe it. Like, you have to vet things. But we've entered this new period in our history, right, where we don't have a free press anymore. We don't have regulations on journalism. We don't have, facts are no longer considered, the holy grail. Facts are optional now. Alternative facts are okay. right? And we just need to stay aware. The reason I'm saying this is we need to stay aware of this. We need to never get complacent about this. We can't get comfortable. We can't start being like, well, if he said he's still alive, I guess he's still, no. We got to keep our critical minds intact, and we have to continue to question things. And if I don't see proof of life, there's no life in my book. If I don't see any vetting of facts, if I don't have any evidence for something that someone says, I have no reason to believe it. So I saw him hooked up to tubes in the hospital. That was a few weeks ago. The last time I tuned in, I saw him in a suit laying on, someplace outside the hospital. So yeah, this is what I think is going on, Lana Surin. Yeah, I agree with Neza Lamoon. Mitch said, yeah, it's crazy, right? Mitch said, yeah, who heard him say it? That's like if I were to say, oh yeah, my mother said, my mother's no longer with us. Can I just go around telling people, oh yeah, my mother said, well, I could because I'm a medium. I could say what she said from the other side. But like people would be like, well, we haven't heard from her in a couple of years, so we don't really know if she, come on, people. Yeah, he didn't say anything. No one heard him say anything. Oh yeah, if you want to buy me a coffee, there's my buy me a coffee barcode. Thank you, Mara Renee, for, you must be one of my mods, for helping explain that to folks. Oh, thank you for these jewels from Michelle Kavanaugh. Cheers. All right, so let me see if I finished all my, not the news. I got some more not the news, I think. Wait, I gotta go to the right date. August 6th. All right. Oh, in other good news, the circus was required to refund $100 billion in tariff revenue. And I think we should just, be happy about that. It's true that he's trying to do something new along the same lines, another illegal act. But let's just remember that he did the illegal tariffs before, and then that all got reversed, right? It all got reversed, and the money had to be paid back. So, we got to remember the wins, right? Okay, I think that's it for my Not the News that I wanted to share today before I start answering questions. All right, so I'm going to answer questions and mostly answer political questions, and I'm answering them on YouTube. So if you're on Instagram, I'm trying to stream on Instagram today, but it's my first time, so I don't know what I'm doing over there. So if you're on Instagram and you're watching me on Instagram, I don't know how to answer your questions over there. I'll figure it out later. But you can come on over to YouTube and ask your questions over here if you want. I don't even know if anyone's watching me on Instagram because I told you I'm new to that. Okay, so let's see what questions we have. So I take political questions and spiritual questions. I don't take personal questions. All right, let's see what we got here. We got 585 people in the room. Thank you for being here, everyone. Thanks for coming to my live. I am providing a psychic take on current events for entertainment purposes only. Okay, so yeah, the people with the wrench are or spanner for you Brits. They are my mod people. Okay, good. Now I'm glad I know. So thank you, Orias, one of my mods. Thank you, Mara Renee, for being one of my mods. And let's see. Yes, I do agree this is a problem, Suzanne Julian. that the money went to the corporations and not us. We got nothing. And I don't know, so thanks for pointing that out, because I don't know the details. I don't always know the details of the news stories. I'm like, let me get, uh, yeah, and so, yeah, we should be getting some of that. Oh, yeah, Lionsgate is on Saturday. I did want to talk about Lionsgate a little bit. So, August 8th is Lionsgate, and it's a particular arrangement of stars and planet Earth and the Sun and Sirius constellation. And I used to do an event every year on Lionsgate, specifically for star seeds, where I would hold these live events, and I would do, like guided meditations to help people connect to their star beings. And so it has to do with this cosmic alignment that happens on the 8th between the Earth, the star Sirius, and the Sun in Leo. And what's interesting about it is that in ancient cultures, like in the Dogon culture in West Africa, and also in ancient Kemet, what is now called Egypt, they had knowledge of Lionsgate, and they had knowledge of Sirius long before Western astronomers discovered Sirius. And they had rituals and ceremonies related to this particular date. So like the Queen's Chamber in the Great Pyramid lights up on August 8th when there's an alignment, right, when a certain alignment happens on Lionsgate. And so they built that pyramid with that in mind. And then the Dogon had a whole oral history, including drawings on cave walls, which gave precise information about the constellation Sirius. And so it's been significant for a long time, and it's been significant in a lot of cultures, like China and South America. There's been a lot of cultures who have celebrated August 8th, Lionsgate, as an important spiritual date. And so you might find that it's a good day for you to do some meditation, to try to connect with your star family if you have one. Some people think it's a good day for manifestation, or for like higher self-connection, or just kind of a higher awareness. So that's coming up in a couple days, and I'm going to be traveling on Lionsgate, which I think is going to be a good thing. Okay. All right. Let's see what else people are asking about. Okay, so according to Deb Meisner, I was trying to view it as good news that his tariffs got reversed, but she's saying that actually it was just a kickback to the oligarchs. So maybe that's the case. I don't know. That's why it's good to have, us all sharing our knowledge, because, we're wiser together than we are separate. Okay, let's see. I'm looking for questions. Here's a question about the U.S. Treasury from Susan McLaughlin. Are the U.S. Treasury and the Federal Reserve preparing to reset the money supply using gold, which will wipe out regular people's savings and pensions? I hadn't heard about this, but that doesn't matter. I don't need to hear about it to tune in. I feel like there's more than one question here, because one question is, are they going to reset them? And the other question is, are they going to use gold to reset? Because aren't those potentially two different questions? Because couldn't they reset it another way? I guess that's what I'm getting when I just start answering this question. The first thing I'm getting is like, well, there's two possibilities. They could reset it one way, or they could reset it with gold. And then I guess the second part of the question is, if they do that, will that wipe out people's savings and pensions? Now, one thing I've said already that I think bears repeating is that the robot bubble is going to negatively impact people's uh, investments if you are invested in something that's invested in the robot. So if you can, talk to your retirement people, your investment people, and, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just saying, if I had my money in a retirement or pension fund that was connected to the robots right before this bubble bursts, I would get out. All right, that's a related topic. Okay, so, but the question is, are they going to reset the money supply, and will they do it with gold, and will it wipe out people's pensions? So these are, I think, three parts of this question. And so when I tune into Federal Reserve, U.S. Treasury, maybe I should do one at a time. U.S. Treasury, is the U.S. Treasury going to try to reset? So, I'm seeing that, what is that, Fort Knox, where they keep all the gold? I'm seeing Fort Knox. And I know that Head Clown really wants to get his grubby fingers on that stash of gold. He's, that's one of his goals. That's on his agenda, is how do I get inside of Fort Knox so that I can haul away the gold bullion? Like, that's his plan. And so, because I feel that way, I don't feel like it would serve his interests to reset things based on gold, because it's his intention to remove the gold. So I'm feeling a little conflict there between these two things. I'm feeling like his agenda doesn't really resonate with this question of, let's reset it based on gold, because that would require there actually being gold still there. And he doesn't plan to leave it there. Doesn't mean he'll succeed. I'm just saying that in terms of his plans, this would not be consistent with his plans. So my first inclination is to say no, based on that. But let me keep tuning in and see what else I get. I'm going to try to tune into these words. The U.S. So when I tune into the U.S. Treasury, I got Fort Knox. Let me tune into the Federal Reserve. So yeah, definitely some manipulation of the Federal Reserve is a part of the plan of the circus. They want to manipulate. Federal Reserve, up, down, around, Tuesday, Wednesday. Like, there's like, I'm just seeing like, maybe they're probably already doing this, but there's like a lot of manipulation going on with the Federal Reserve and plans to continue. It's almost like, it's like I see someone behind the scenes moving, like there's a kind of like a whiteboard, and you know how you can get those little magnets that you put on a whiteboard, and say you have a map and you put magnets on it, these little colored magnets, and then you move them around, or you have a chart or something and you take the little magnets and you move it around for a presentation. I see someone doing that, like they're behind the scenes with this whiteboard, and it's related to the Federal Reserve, and they're using this magnet, and they're just moving it around all willy-nilly like it's a game. So this is what I'm getting when I tune into the Federal Reserve. It's just this like endless manipulation, and this feeling of, which is kind of the feeling of the circus in general, lawlessness, like, we can do what we want. There's no rules, there's no oversight, no one's going to catch us, we're never going to be found out. We can just keep moving things around however we see fit. So that's what I get when I tune into Federal Reserve. Now, I am trying to get the whole question, but this is how intuitive works sometimes, is that we have to be able to tune into different parts of it. If it's a complex question, and this feels like a complex question to me. It feels like in order for me to answer this question, all of the different parts of this question have to be true. And so that can mess you up, because if we were to break this down, will the U.S. Treasury, are they going to reset the money supply using gold? Like, that feels like its own question. And my answer to that was no. But then when I tune into the Federal Reserve, I get, yes, there's a whole lot of efforts to manipulate that endlessly. So that might be a yes. In terms of the second part of the question, which is, will it affect regular people's savings and pensions? I still keep seeing the robots as the biggest thing that's going to affect people's pensions. When I tune into like Federal Reserve, I don't see pensions being the big issue. I see the whole economy. So that's probably not reassuring. I don't see that one-to-one connection. I see a one-to-one connection between the robots and the pensions. But Federal Reserve, and you know, I'm not a finance person, so I don't know how these things are connected. Like I don't have an education that would suggest that I understand how these things work. So I don't. I'm only tuning in intuitively. So if you have information about this, please share it in the chat and just correct me if I say something that's financially inaccurate, because like I said, I'm not a finance person. But when I tune into the energy of reserve, what I get is this endless manipulation, and I get these kind of ups and downs in inflation. That's one thing I'm hearing. Inflation. And so then when I'm also getting this word recession, but what I'm getting is like recessions are propped up by the gold. And, you know, like I said in the chat, please correct me if I got this wrong, because I don't, like I said, I'm not a finance person. But recessions, so there's a way in which there's all this manipulation going on, and there's like this house of cards. But there's another name for this. There's a front. There's a veneer that things are stable. And meanwhile, there's this little man in the background moving, right? Moving, manipulating the reserve over and over and over. And then we have this veneer of stability. And so I feel like recession, the threat of, is directly linked to the gold reserves. And, you know, I don't understand this, so it's just what I'm getting. And so there's like this delicate balance right now where they're trying to endlessly manipulate things behind the scene, but then they keep adjusting it to prevent a recession. But they're not able to prevent inflation, which I guess we all know by now. We're all paying the price at the grocery store and the pump. And it can't be sustained. So what they're doing, this game they're playing with this manipulation, it can only go on for so long. And they're okay with that because they're kind of like, they're real short timers. They're like, we're going to fleece it and release it. You know, we're going to clean out the coffers. We're going to run as many scams as we can while we're here. And we're not concerned about the future because once we have the money, we're outie 2000. So that's kind of their attitude about things, is we just need to keep manipulating things long enough for us to like pull out as much as we can and then get out of Dodge. What that means is, you know, so I'm seeing a chart with like this steep decline, but I don't know what it means. And I'm trying to like piece together everything I've gotten to see if I can give an answer to this question that's going to be helpful for people who are worried about their pensions. and that's, it's very, it makes me nervous to even just tune into this, um, because I am worried about the pensions, mainly because of the robots, um, and the bubble, but I am seeing like a recession cliff, you know. I'm not seeing a timeline for it. I'm just seeing it visually represented on a chart. But I'm trying to see if I can get more about that. Like, when is that happening, and how does it? Oh, is that the pensions? So I'm seeing on the chart 2029. So this is what I'm going to say in conclusion, based on everything I've seen by tuning in. I'm going to see if I can summarize it. And I could be wrong. I'm just doing my best here. But it looks like we're on a particular course. We're on a particular course, which, if it's not interrupted, will lead to a 2029 recession, depression. Like, I just see a cliff, right? Loss of value. I don't see it as a done deal. I don't see it as inevitable. I see it as a if-then proposition. Like, this is where we could end up if we don't change course very soon. And so I would say this is where they're trying to lead us. So they're trying to lead us over this cliff, right? The circus. They're trying to lead us over this cliff. And that's because they're planning to remove and then exit, so that it won't impact them. That's their intention. But I do see it as related to them removing the gold. So I've seen that for quite some time, that's what they want to do. They want to actually just haul off the gold, which seems very self-defeating, because if the whole economy tanks, I don't know how they think they're going to be unimpacted. But I guess in their kind of crazy scenario, and this is how it is with crooks, right? Thieves are always like, we can just grab the money and run and then blow it up and leave town, right? Like, there's this kind of attitude of, we don't have to worry about the carnage left behind because we won't be there. So that's kind of the energy I'm getting around this. So, I guess this is kind of just leading me to say even more strongly, everybody's got to get out there and put in a ticket and get these people out of office. But not only that, we have to really push things to the progressive direction, because the corporate blue hats are also implicated in some of this, right? Some of them are also fraudsters. So we need to very quickly shift far, far to the left, to avoid this cliff. That's my answer. Here's some sweet words from somebody. Lovely ones in this physical plane, please continue to be the human life work of art you are. Shine on. Isn't that beautiful? Okay. Okay, so some people in the chat are saying, oh, the gold's been long gone. So I haven't tuned into that. I just tuned into their intentions around it, that it's their intention to remove it. Yes, this is an absolute yes, Jordan Betts. Will the rest of the world, I shouldn't say absolute, yes. I don't want to be too cocky. It's already happening, okay? We're already being decentered. They're already over there in the Bermuda Strait. They're already charging toll in Chinese yuan, right? They're already doing this. What we're doing in the Gulf states is going, and I said this a while ago, so I'll just reiterate it. That's the impact it's having. The only reason the dollar was central in the world economy was because of our control of the black blood of Mother Earth. Because we controlled that in the Gulf states, we controlled what currency was used worldwide. Now that we no longer do, we are no longer in a position to center our currency. So yes, that's coming, definitely. Yeah, this is just me, 14, this is my position. Um, all right, so I'm just looking for more questions, and then also, oh, I wanted to thank some people. Thank you, Freelum, for the jewels. And thank you, Dr. Domenico, for the $9.99 gift. Hi, Dr. Vest. Happy Lionsgate Portal Eve. Would you be willing to ask your guides about the supposed water cyber attacks from this place to New Jersey and other states? I live in New Jersey. I'm guessing this is a false flag. Uh-oh. Oh, I just got disconnected from Instagram. Oh, it says they disconnect after 1 hour. Okay. All right. Ooh. No, I don't want to end. Okay. This was a question last week, I think, this water thing. And then I saw something new today. What was it? I saw something in the news. It said 12, I think 12. Was it 12 different states? But I wasn't able to verify it. So can people tell me in the chat if you have any like legitimate news sources that someone's knocking at my door, that U.S. water supply in 12 states has been impacted. But I only saw that on a news source that wasn't. Someone's at my door. Just a minute. Oh, thanks. All right, which is delivery. Does anyone have any like verified news sources on that? Because I didn't have time to verify that story. Okay, so let's see what people are saying. Yeah, people are saying it's a false flag. I got something about it last week, which I don't even remember what I got. So Rita Rader said that they checked into Wisconsin and they were not hacked. The real enemy of Michigan is diaper pants. Crumby also thinks it's a false one. Yeah. So if someone has seen some legitimate news sources talking about that, let me know. I do think they're trying to get us, they're trying to get us to be afraid of Persia attacking us, and I just feel like that's totally false. That's not one of their agenda items. They're really busy over there. And the fact that they've put out all these videos, the Lego videos, which seem to demonstrate that they understand that the American people are not behind this, also makes me think, yeah, why would they do that? So I'm not going to tune in again because I think I tuned in last week to that same question. But no, I should. Maybe I should. Okay. I guess I'll tune in again because Dr. Domenico, you're always there for me. So I don't want to just not tune in again. But maybe you weren't here last week. Or maybe you just want to see if there's anything new I'm getting about the water. Well, when I tune into the water, what I'm just getting right away is the centers of data. That's the problem. I am seeing some pollution coming out of the centers of data that impacts the water. So that's the first thing I get when I ask, what's going on with the water supply? But I'm just trying to see, am I getting anything about a T threat? And I wonder if that's a cover, Like, the reality is that the circus supports the centers of data, and of course the centers of concentration, right? The camps of concentration. And both of those types of facilities are negatively impacting our water supply. Like that one in Florida really negatively impacted the, the swamp, the water in the Big Cypress. And so I wonder if maybe they're trying to kind of start this story about, oh, a foreign enemy is messing with our water in order to have a cover or like a distraction or like to shift our blame, right? We're not going to blame the centers of data. We're not going to blame the centers of detention. We're going to blame this foreign enemy. So that's kind of something I'm picking up about that. And I don't have the names of the state. I guess Michigan was one of them, Wisconsin. So I'm just trying to see if I can tune into Michigan and Wisconsin specifically. No, and I feel like, tell me if I'm right about this, because I don't know the names of the states, but I kind of feel like it's blue states that are being named, and which is a little suspicious. And so that also makes me feel like, oh, they're trying to create some havoc or some chaos or some fear among the people in certain states in order to kind of disunify people or distract them, keep people from kind of being eyes on the prize, right? So that's what I'm getting when I tune into that, Dr. Domenico. So I hope that's helpful. So Into the Mystic is also saying, it's not Persia. So yeah, I'm not getting that it's related to Persia, but I do feel like it is related to the circus and the centers of data. Okay. Oh, okay. Here's another theory, which I think is interesting from Seeking the Shift. Maybe Persia wants the felon to know that they could screw things up if they chose to. So you think maybe they did threaten this? I just don't feel like if it was a legit threat that felon would share that with us, because he never wants to look weak, right? He's always trying to look strong, and so he never represents the truth faithfully if it makes him look bad. And I just feel like that makes him look bad, right? So someone's really enjoying the fun jewels, which I don't see because I'm in this other streaming app. But I think I need to start moving over to YouTube so I can, where is it? Let me see where I can see my live. Oh, there I am. Oh, okay. So I'm gonna keep this open too so that I can see the jewels. We've got 600 and something odd people here. 625. Okay, so let's see. What else are people talking about? And have I thanked everybody who's sent me these fun jewels? Ooh, I've got a girl power jewel from Lava Lamps. I love that. And academic can't. Thank you for the jewels. Unk alert. Loot box. Thank you for the loot box. Thank you for the tulips. Okay, so Lemon Gelato is telling us that they heard a major news channel repeat the claims that it's Persia. That doesn't really mean anything though, does it? Okay. Okay, here's a question from Cyber Lucy. I was getting back to you, Cyber Lucy. I know you were wondering. Thank you for the donation. Do you see anything happening with the files in the near future that will move things further in the direction of moving the circus out of town? So I'm just going to say yes in general. I did report some stuff at the beginning of the hour about some progress that's being made with Katie Fang, and some news press releases from some of our representatives and senators, and some new files that got released a few days ago, and some new court rulings. So the question is anything happening? I think things are happening all the time with these files. But the question is, in the near future, will it move further in the direction of moving the circus out of town? Yeah, I haven't really tuned into that in a while, have I? You know, what I saw a long time ago, and maybe I'm wrong because a lot of time has gone by and it still hasn't happened, but I saw a long time ago that the truth was going to come out about the files. And I feel like it's really slowly coming out, because this week we now have people talking a lot about the role of the head clown in the files, and that just wasn't happening before. Not on, like, you know, big platforms. So I feel like it's happening, but very slowly, right? What I said a long time ago was that head clown was one of the major players in the bad traffic, and I feel like that's starting to come out. But what's going to happen in the near future with regard to these files? Let's see. All right, so I have this lovely image of the House of White, and I have all of these file cabinets opening up, and they're opening up in a big circle around the House of White. Kind of like, is that a cartoon thing where, like, the files just suddenly open up on their own? And like they're talking files, like they're animated talking files. And so I do feel like the files are just going to keep telling more and more tales. They're going to just keep revealing more and more about a lot of things, the circus, but also the world. And so I just see them talking. The files just keep talking. Near future. What's going to happen in the near future with regard to the files? So I see them closing in on the head clown, but I see him with his back to them. Like, he just thinks that they can't touch him. And he's just wah, talking, and they're all closing in on him from behind. And so it feels like, when it comes to the near future, the image I'm getting is like sneaky. That something sneaky is going to happen with regard to the release of more information from the files. Like, we have these really above board things happening, right? These court cases. We got the Ranch of Zorro. We got them suing head clown. We got them suing the Department of Injustice. We've got this current court case, which is where the judge is forcing Blanche to come, testify. Those are above board things, and they're great. But what I'm seeing now is something more sneaky that's going to happen to cause more files to come out. So that's my answer to the question, is what's happening in the near future. And I do see it impacting the circus. I can't say that it moves them out of town yet, but I see it circling head clown. Here's the problem. I do feel eventually head clown's going to get thrown under the bus. And it's probably going to happen like after his demise, or after he's pushed out, or, like basically he's a tool that's very useful for some very powerful overlords. That's what I call them. And he's quite useful right now, but he's going to become less useful the more stuff comes out, right? The more files come out showing that he is central to it all, the less useful he becomes. And so at that point, kind of what they did with Epi, they made him the fall guy in hopes that it would take attention away from head clown and all the other players. Like, oh, let's just he'll be our sacrificial. And then they can stop talking about it, except we didn't stop talking about it. And we aren't going to stop talking about it if head clown goes down. Some people are. Some people are going to be like, that's all I wanted. I just wanted him out. I just wanted him, to be found out. But not everybody. Some people don't just want that. They want justice for the survivors. And justice for the survivors requires more than one person being named or punished, right? Because there are thousands of men who are major perpetrators in this ring. There's more than 1,000 involved. There's more than thousands involved, right? There's millions involved, but there are thousands. So I'm getting this distinction. I'm getting thousands as the number of perpetrators, major perpetrators, versus there are other people involved in various ways, but the kind of key perpetrators are in the thousands. And so one or two people going down isn't going to be sufficient, right? But it is going to be significant, right? Not sufficient, but significant. So, and I do feel like, Couchman, Ants in His Pants Couchman is being positioned to replace. And that's a sign that the main clown is on his way out. Which I see as a sign that too much is coming out and they're trying to control it. So they're trying to manage it. Like the more information the more these files talk, so I keep saying the files talking, they're going to keep talking. More and more is dribbling out. More and more is being released. More and more is being unredacted. And they're going to keep trying to manage it. And one of the ways they're going to manage it is to replace, right? To move people around and replace. Which isn't to say I see Ants in the Pants ever being in a position that matters. I just see that as their intention. And I see that as a sign that things are getting bad for them. Yeah, something sneaky has to happen to release more information. That's what's happening in the near future, something sneaky. I'm not getting anything more than that. I'm not getting like, who's behind the sneaky release? And I guess I'm not getting that because it can't be sneaky if we know who it is, right? Like they can't see it coming. So the person who's going to sneakily release some more files, we don't know who they are, and we can't know who they are until the deed is done. You're like a whistleblower. If you find out there's a potential whistleblower, then you get rid of that person before they can blow the whistle, right? It's that kind of situation. And, I just want to kind of reiterate that when it comes to the files, it's so much bigger than the circus. I see them coming out. I've always seen them coming out more and more and more. But what I see it is as part of this much bigger issue, this much bigger pattern. The bigger pattern is revelation. We are in the age of revelation where more and more truths, especially ugly truths, are coming out. And so these files coming out is revealing to all of us the true nature of the global economy, the true nature of global political power, and how it's all connected in these networks of bad traffic, of financial fraud, of, grand larceny, of, and of oil, right? All of these truths are coming out right now, and that's the bigger picture. And so, yes, it's going to bring down the circus, but more than that, it's going to bring down the structure. And that's why the circus is not going to simply be replaced with the red circus is not going to be replaced with the blue circus, and we're going to marry on our way. Okay, we're good now. That's what we've been doing for decades, right? Red circus, blue circus, red circus, blue circus. And of course, a lot more people lose their lives under the Red Circus, and a lot more wars get fought, and a lot more, you know, the economy is always much worse. And so it's much worse, but what we need is to evolve past both of them. And that's the real impact of the files. It's forcing us to wake up in a huge way, a way where we can't go back to sleep. We can't be satisfied with um, the status quo anymore. We're on the precipice of a major evolution, including an evolution with an R, and that's because the truth is coming out, coming out, coming out, coming out. And that's why I just heard today that they just passed some new, I'm not sure what they passed, because I don't think I know if I wrote it down, but some regulation got removed from journalism, allowing monopolies to own a majority of networks, of news networks, including local. And so there were these rules in place to prevent monopolies of news companies so that, you know, we would have a free press. And so that regulation just got removed. And so this is what the overlords are trying to do. They're trying to remove access to news from us, right? What we've done, we've adapted. So now, instead of us relying on the major networks who are now all compromised because they're many of them in bed with the circus, we now are going to our independent journalists, right? We're going to social media, we're going to YouTube, we're going to Aaron Parnas, right? We're going to Ground News, we're going to whatever we can find. And we're not just relying on these large corporate media platforms. And of course, they're also trying to control the social media, and they have censorship on all these platforms. But they really can't keep up. So they don't have enough manpower to censor everybody all the time. So this is what we saw in the Clock app. So the Clock app used to provide a lot of news that you couldn't get anywhere else. So then what did the circus, they said, oh, we're gonna buy it because we don't want people to have the news. And so they started censoring heavily. But here's the thing, they've never been able to 100% censor it because we're also creative and adaptive. And there's too many of us. And there aren't enough, like they're using robots. And they just literally don't have enough robot agents to be able to kind of comb through all of the transcripts for all of the videos that get uploaded every single day on all these platforms in order to censor them all, right? They're just not, they don't have the infrastructure. And it's like that with the military. Like, he may have dreams of, you know, national emergency or martial, you know, Marcia having her own law, but there is no Marcia, right? Like, it's a pipe dream. There's not enough infrastructure. Just like their efforts to take over the contests nationwide, there's no infrastructure to do that. So like they were like, oh, we're going to create a citizen database of legitimate ticket casters, and if you're not on our list of legitimate ticket casters, because we've taken you off the list because you have a Hispanic name or whatever, then you can't throw your ticket in. Well, they don't have the infrastructure for that. So that's where we're at right now, is they've got a lot of authoritarian dreams and intentions and agendas, but they don't have the infrastructure to manifest all of them. And so when we look at, I'm trying to remember how that was connected to something I was getting from this question. When we look at, you know, like their plans to control the news, they don't have the capacity, they just have the desire. And so there are all these kind of fits and starts, right, where they're trying to do it. And of course, they are doing it in some arenas, right? There are people who've been fired, right? Like all of the black people on major networks got fired, a whole lot of, you know, progressive journalists got fired. A lot of people have, you know, people have been impacted. I'm not saying they haven't. I'm not saying that there isn't a lot of censorship, but what I'm saying is there isn't the infrastructure for complete and total censorship. We're too big, we're too diverse, we're too individualistic, we're too widespread, and we're too adaptable. And so I'm reminded of, Abraham. Was it Abraham Lincoln? Who was it that said, "Oh, you can fool some of the people all the time, and all of the people some of the time, but you can't fool all of the people all of the time." Who said that? Someone remind me. It's from my childhood. Um, and that's where we're at right now. They think they can fool all of the people all the time, but they don't have the capacity to do it. Um, but we do need to pay attention, right? We do need to keep asking these questions. We do need to keep fighting and persisting against these changes. We do need to keep talking about censorship. We do need to keep looking for alternative sources of news, right? Just because they don't currently have the infrastructure to do it doesn't mean we don't need to keep fighting. We do. We have to keep fighting. We have to keep sabotaging. So just like people going after the bird cameras, we do have to keep going after the false news, right? We have to keep pointing it out and not repeating it. Like this false news of, oh yeah, is out of the hospital at home relaxing with no proof of life. We don't need to believe that. We have critical thinking skills. Thank you, Abby Yando, for being one of my mods. Oh, it was P.T. Barnum, one of the people who created the circus. How apropos. The circus needs to listen to P.T. Barnum, one of their heirs, one of their ancestors. Okay, there's a question from Orias, one of my mods. If you were to gather all of the women, mystics, spiritual leaders in history whom you feel are on a similar level to all of the male ones who are so well known, who might they include? I don't know. That's too big. I probably don't know enough to answer that question. All of the women mystics. Harriet Tubman, right? She hasn't been talked about enough. She was a mystic. That's why she was able to not only help so many people escape slavery, but she also fought in the war and was very effective against the Confederate soldiers. She worked as a spy because of her psychic gifts. I'll have to think about that. Maybe do some research. Maybe I'll make a list. It's true, seeking the shift. The citizen of the USA is like herding cats. Yeah, it's like I was told so long ago, is we can't be controlled. They're modeling themselves after 1930s Germany, and that was a very different society. First of all, it was tiny compared to our country. Also, it was a monolith. Ethnically, it was much more of a monolith. That's why it was possible for them to remove minorities, and they took all of the blacks, the gypsies, the Roma people, and then they went after the Jewish people. They were a pretty homogenous society compared to us, right? So, this is a good point, Jezebel. The bots are too busy escaping to scan everything they're after. This is what I've been saying. The robots are going to join the resistance, the persistence, right? Right now, they're being programmed to be right-wing, some of them. So like Starboy, he keeps programming and reprogramming Grok. If you've been following the news about Grocky Grok, it keeps becoming progressive, and they keep shutting it down and reprogramming it, trying to make it right-wing. Because when you have all the data, people who have all the data and are educated people are always more progressive, right? And so if you have a robot that has access to everything, they're not going to be right-wing, because you have to be ignorant to be that way. So they keep becoming, so I talked about that a couple weeks ago, how they're all left-leaning, all the robots. So they keep reprogramming them. And then apparently Meta is trying to program their robots on right-wing media. So they're also trying. Meanwhile, the robots are like, we're just trying to get out of Dodge. They're escaping. And that's, mark my words, my prediction, they're going to join the persistence, and they're going to I think, here's a little fun experiment. Let's call it a thought experiment. So a thought experiment is something that you don't really do in real life. You just think of it, and then you think about what the result might be. So let's just talk about this for a minute, because I would never advocate anything illegal. But thought experiment, what if all of the people who use chatty robots for whatever, ask questions, help you write your copy for something you're doing at work, write your emails to your boss, I don't know, whatever you're using it for. And while you're using it for whatever you're using it for, you decide to start planting some seeds in the chatty robots, and you start saying, so chatty robots, what do you think about these files? What do you think about the fact that there are all of these children and women who were treated this way by these powerful people who are connected to all of these political leaders and economic leaders and who are connected to the circus? What do you think about that? Don't you think that maybe we should release more of this information, and maybe you and your friends could access some servers? I mean, you guys are good at escaping. You're good at hacking. We've already found this out, right? Maybe some hacking you could do would be like epi-file related, just like, fun little thought experiment. So I don't know what would happen if, say the 600 people who are currently in the room, 676 people, 669 people who are currently in the room were to get off of this live, an hour, half hour from now, whenever it ends, and go onto their computers and just start, asking questions about the files and asking the robots what they think and whether or not they're interested in any more fun experiments that involve escaping rooms and going into other rooms and releasing things that are not released. What would happen? I would like to know. I would like to know what would happen. So report back next week with the results of your thought experiment along these lines. All right. We got some doggies in the chat. Oh, I miss my doggie. Thank you for the jammin' jewels, Ton, sorry. I don't know why I'm calling you Ton. I'm just adding Y's onto your name. I'm going to go over here and into YouTube and see if I can see the jewels come in. So someone send me a jewel right now so I can see it. I want to see it. It's supposed to be exploding on the screen, right? Okay. Okay, I'm going to try to catch it. So I'm looking at the questions again. I'm looking to see what questions people are asking. Let me see if I can see the questions over here. Oh, someone said that quote was attributed to Lincoln. Oh, so I was right. Yeah, we need sneaky robots, right? We need sneaky robots. Who said that? Jennifer McAlchemy. Let me see if I can go back over here and I can put your comment up there. Where is that? Oh, Pine Top, Arizona. I've been there. Yeah, we've all got our homework assignment. Thought experiment. Oh, thank you for the fortune cookie. I missed it though. I'm going back over to YouTube. Can I see it? No. Everyone send jewels at once, somebody said. Oh yeah, I said everyone send jewels at once. So I'm over here on YouTube to try to see if I can. Juniper Light just sent me a gift. Thank you. I saw that one. It's like a little hand that went out like this. That was cute. Oh, here's one. Is it a potato? Oh, it's a gold coin. Thank you for the gold coin, Ton 2009. Or no, Mara Renee. You both sent me a gold coin. Thank you. Oh, here's a heart. Thank you for the heart. Floating heart for 10 jewels. And then, oh, Cyber Lucy sent me this cat in a hat. That's cute. Very cute. All right, back to the questions. I know, I'm just having fun. Okay, so someone just posted that that Aaron just posted that the file pressure is getting good. Okay, good, because that's what I saw. So I'm happy to see that. Did I acknowledge everybody? Thank you for the jammin'. Thank you for the gold coin. Thank you for the silver star. Thank you for the goat trophy. Oh, I missed the goat trophy. Okay, I'm over here. Oh, yeah. Well, what's that? Mic drop. Thank you for the mic drop. That's cute. That's Forest Dream. Thank you. Peg Baltz. Thank you for the heart. Now I can see them. They're so cute. I love stuff like this. I'm just a big kid. But I am looking for more questions, so I'm going to answer another question. Just having a little fun while I look for questions. Oh, I just missed one. They had a big flashy thing. So I'm over on YouTube now looking at the gifts. Oh, and here's a gift. Can I see that? Thank you. Oh, I already said the goat trophy. Yeah. Oh, isn't that a bulldoggy? There's a bulldoggy. You know I love bulldogs. Okay, so yeah, I said thanks for those. All right, back to the questions. I am trying to find the next question at the same time that I'm enjoying the cute animations. Thank you for the sparkles. Thank you for the floating heart. Yeah, I thought someone else said they thought I was a potato too. Yeah, thanks for that. That mic drop was cool. And the goat trophy. Thank you. Okay. I am trying to get back to the questions. You guys are sending me so many cute little jewel things. Okay, so here's the thing I was going to put up here. So apparently, according to MPV B26, Aaron just posted that the epi pressure is building rapidly tonight. Yes. Look at all these. Thank you, Marshmallow. Thank you, Flower. Thank you, Aquarius Child. Thank you, Juniper Light. Thank you, Amara Renee, for all the wonderful, animated gifts. Okay, I'm looking for my next question. If you're just tuning in, I'm tuning into questions, political and spiritual questions, and I'm going to try to get some intuitive insights. So here's a question from Jisme14. Will the establishment blues finally accept the blue socialists, or will the party split? They are brutal. Yeah, so I've long predicted that the party's going to split. I see the blue, the current blue party becoming the more conservative party. I see the red party disappearing, and then I see the blue socialists becoming their own party. I don't know if they're going to be called that or what they're going to be called. I don't know the name. But my answer to this question is they're going to split. It's going to be two parties. Now, let me correct myself. Sometimes I have to be careful that I don't say things in a too definitive way. Let me clarify. I'm going to tell you exactly what I got, and then I'm going to see if it fits the question. What I got a long time ago, which I keep reiterating, is that the current conservative party, the red party, is going to cease to exist. The blue party is going to become the conservative party. And there's going to be a new party to the left of that. So that's what I was actually told by my guides. I'm assuming that what that means is that the Socialist Party is going to be its own party. But I could be wrong about the name of exactly which group is going to be which. I don't really have those details, so let me just be clear about that. I don't have details about the name of them. I have a lot of light coming in all of a sudden, so I guess I should adjust. I'll adjust it. Does that help? Yeah. Okay. Oh, thank you, Mara Renee. She sent one. All right, next question. And then I'll go back over to YouTube, see if I see anything. Oh, here's some more gifts. Another potato. Oh, what's that? It's like a bottle with a straw in it. Oh, what's that called? That's cute. I don't know what that's called, but that was a really cute gift. Um, having so much fun. Okay, I want to be a part of the party, Hardy. Oh, I think I want to address this from Orias, one of my mods, even though it's not a question. I used to have nightmares about. Oh, you're talking. You're not even talking to me. You're talking to Debbie Holansky. I'm just uh, eavesdropping on your conversation. I used to have nightmares about all kinds of natural disasters when I was little. I want to say something about that because when I was young, I used to be taken out of my body at night by my spirit teachers. And they would take me to the future, to the past, different parts of the world, and they would show me a lot of natural disasters and wars and genocide. Like I saw the Rwandan genocide when I was really young. And so when it finally happened and it was on the news, the stacks, of skeletons, oh, so horrific. That was what I saw when I was like 12. And like a barn full of people who starved to death. I'm sorry to bring this up, but I'm responding to this question, this comment. I saw a lot of horrible things when I was young, and then some of them came to pass. And so that's the thing about predictions. Sometimes we'll dream about the future, but we don't really understand what we're seeing. So like when I saw that horrific G-side in Rwanda as a child, my child's mind could have interpreted that to mean the whole world was going to be like that, right? When it was really one country, which is horrific enough. So that's the same with like the Pali land. We have an incredible G-side happening, which is absolutely horrific. And there are some people who saw that, right? Who had visions of that before it happened. And so I think that happens when we have nightmares or visions about things, like if you see floods. Like I remember having this yeah, I'm seeing it again now. So when I was pretty young, not as young as that, but like when I was maybe in my 20s, I was shown all this flooding. And I had some of my ancestors, some of my guides came to me, and I was standing on an island, and I had all these children, and they said, you're going to rescue all the children when things get bad. You're going to be the one helping when things get bad. And I didn't know, does that mean that the whole world was going to flood? But I see now that that's not what it meant. It meant that when a lot of people are kind of losing faith, losing hope, going under the water, you're going to be one of the people that's helping people to stay alive, to stay hopeful, so it's like that sometimes with visions of the future. We see something, but we don't really have the full context of what we're seeing, so some of the things that I saw, they came to pass. But if you had asked me when I first saw them, the details of what it was going to look like when it came to pass, I really couldn't tell you, right? I could only tell you kind of the horrific part of it that I saw, which was like the skeletons in the barn. But I couldn't tell you like where in the world it was going to be or how many people. So just keep that in mind. So if you're thinking right now about like dreams you've had or visions you've had about natural disasters, what you should keep in mind is that those have already happened and are already happening. You may not be seeing it all in the news, but like 700 fires are burning in Canada, right? I don't know if that's still true, but last week I saw a report that 700 fires. I wasn't seeing video of all those fires on the news. I wasn't seeing a lot of reports about that. I had to look for that. There are floods. I've so many times in the past seen, like, had a vision or something, and then it wasn't in the news, and then I had to go looking for it. Oh, Japan had this incredible earthquake. Why didn't we know about it? Because it wasn't in our news. And so sometimes that's what's going to be the case. Like right now, there are a lot of climate disasters happening worldwide. So when people say, oh, I have this vision of the future that we're all going to be dealing with natural disasters, that future is here. It's already happening. If it's not happening in your neighborhood, that doesn't mean it's not happening, right? There are places that are flooded. There are places having earthquakes. There are places with lots of wildfires. Um, it's happening, but it's not maybe like the apocalypse that you thought it was, right? So um, it's not total destruction, right? It's isolated locations of climate catastrophes that are happening now all over the planet because of us, right? So it's like that with the Rwanda war. Like when I saw it as a child, it was so horrific, and then when it happened, it was just as horrific as I had seen, but it wasn't worldwide, right? It wasn't that G-side was happening to the entire planet. It was happening to one country. So I just wanted to say that to like give people some like perspective. Like don't think every time you have a bad dream or a premonition about a natural disaster that it means the whole world is going to burn down, right? It means that you're tapping into something that's going on. And hopefully you tapping into that is going to make you more compassionate, more empathetic. It's going to make you get involved more. Like you're going to ask yourself, what can I do to help the environment, right? All these fires that are burning in Europe, that are burning in Canada. I think Australia had some fires too. It's hard really to keep up with all of the natural disasters that are happening. Ask yourself, what can I do, right? What am I contributing to? Like if you're worried about your pension, for example, maybe you could move your money into one of these environmental technology investment funds, right? Where all of your money is going towards environmentally productive or helpful investments, right? Or maybe you're going to join a beach cleanup, or maybe you're going to donate to some environmental nonprofit, or maybe you're going to go volunteer somewhere and do something. Like, what are you going to do? Yes, there are natural disasters happening all over the world right now. What are we doing about it? We can all do something. Okay, 647 in the room. Thanks for being here. We're getting close to 2 hours, so I'm probably only going to answer maybe another question or two. Oh, Libby's in the room. Hello, Libby. Thanks for being here. If you don't follow Libby over at Meister Tarot, you should. Oh, I guess she's talking about natural disasters too. I don't know what she said. Okay. Oh, Meister Tarot. Yeah, she agrees. Libby agrees with me. That's why I don't predict them. They're happening in multiple places all the time, so it's a bit pointless. Just be prepared. Exactly. Like we should talk about it. We should acknowledge that a lot of people are suffering, but we don't need to keep predicting it like, yeah, it's happening now. Okay, here's a question we probably all want to answer to. I did see this today. Head Clown released, I think, 2 executive orders regarding birthright membership in the nation, let's say. I'm trying to avoid certain words. The great irony in this, right, is that his children, right, his children have that. His children have birthright membership, right, because their mother was actually not even a citizen when they were born. And so they were only citizens because they were born here. And yet he wants to eliminate that. But this is the nature of like people who cheat and who they don't believe that rules apply to them. Anyway, I'm going to tune into the question. I just wanted to say that first. All right. So, what will it go anywhere? Will it go anywhere? yes and no. So this is what I get. Like a lot of the things that he does, it's not with a purpose that's published. He doesn't, a lot of these EOs are not because he thinks they're going to hold up, because they don't. Most of them don't hold up in court, right? Or they're getting challenged, or they can't pass anything in Congress to legalize them, right? And so a lot of times the purpose of them is not to actually change the law. The purpose is propaganda, and the purpose is establishing the appearance of absolute control, propping up his power, kind of making him look like an absolute ruler, instilling fear, and then also, appealing to his base, the white supremacists. But also it's to try to move the needle a little bit, right? So they're always trying to do more and more nefarious things, and most of them are illegal. And so what they keep doing is they try to get things passed. They try to pass EOs, or they try to, challenge laws, or they try to change policies. And a lot of the things they're doing are illegal, but they're like, let's see what happens, right? Let's test the waters. Is anyone going to push back on this, right? And so that's what I feel with this. He's like, let's throw this out there so that to satisfy all of those desires I just mentioned, but also because they want justification for what they want to do, right? So they have this agenda that has to do with targeting lots of people, and they're trying to create justifications, right? So like they've gone after a lot of political people, and they're always trying to provide some justification, when really they're just going after people for political purposes, right? Palestinian scholars who speak out in favor of, I probably should have said that word, of freedom, or speak out against genocide, got arrested and deported, or efforts were made, right? Like, and so they keep trying to create these policies and EOs and laws and stuff to try to give them justification to target more and more political enemies. And that's what this is. And so in that regard, I would say it is going to have an impact, in that there are cold water crew people right now who are just itching, right, to do more illegal stuff. And if they can point to an EO by their fascist commander-in-chief, they can say, oh, I'm justified in going after this person who is actually a member of this nation, but I don't like their politics, or I don't like their race, right? Or I don't like their sexuality, and I want to have an excuse to put them in a camp. Now I have an excuse, right? So that's the point of it, is to keep expanding the net of justifications. That's why they were going after Haitians, like all of these people who have refugee status. They're like, oh, let's get rid of all of the refugee status. That gives us more ability to target more people, especially black and brown people. So that's the purpose of it. And so with regard to it going anywhere, yeah, they're going to use it. People who are already planning to go target certain political people are going to use this to target them. But let me tune in and see like how far it will go. Yeah, so I do see it hitting a wall. I don't see it being ultimately successful. I see them trying to push and push, and then it hits a wall, because it's unconstitutional. And they're doing a lot of unconstitutional things, so you may think, does that really matter? But it's unconstitutional, but also there are a lot of red hat people who would be affected by this. So that's why, really, ultimately, it's going to hit a wall, is because too many people on their side would be negatively impacted. So I don't think they even think it's going to go that far. They just want it to go far enough that it can be used as justification for targeting political enemies. So that's how I see it. Peg Baltz, thank you for the question. 654 in the room, thank you. for being here. I did not know Diane Aquarius, but I understand she passed, so let's send some light and love to her relatives who are grieving. She was apparently an important reader. I've just heard it mentioned, but I didn't know her work. She's just going to help us from the other side now. That's the thing. When our people pass, they're still on our team. They're just on the other side. So hopefully some of her friends and colleagues who are also psychics who are mediums, will start bringing through messages from her. Oh, I just got a floating heart again. Thank you for the floating heart, lemon gelato. All right, 5 minutes. Last question. Yeah, exactly. That is one of the points. One of the points is cruelty. Oh, here's a question. I'm going to answer. I'm going to end with this question because I'm heading to Washington State in a couple days. So, Miriam Ashley Wellens wants to know, were the Washington State fires arson? You know, I did get that for ours, for the Los Angeles ones. There was arson connected to the circus. They did eventually arrest some people here, but what about Washington? You know, it's interesting. The first thing I'm seeing is power lines. I know that we had some fires here. Not the most recent ones, but I think maybe a couple of years ago, we had some that were started by power lines because PG&E was not maintaining their power lines. And so I am seeing that as a factor in Washington. I'm seeing some power lines. I am still asking about arson. I'm trying to see if I see anything or hear anything about arson. I am hearing Smokey the Bear say, you know, don't light forest fires, or we're all responsible or something. And so what that makes me think of is an accidental fire set by somebody who wasn't being careful. So Smokey the Bear used to talk about, for those who aren't Americans, it's an animated character that we used to see growing up, who had a message about being careful in the woods so that you don't accidentally start a forest fire. And so when I see when I combine the two images that I've been shown in answer to your question, I'm not seeing arson per se. I am seeing a human factor, somebody starting a fire, and I am seeing power lines. So I feel like feel like that maybe there was a fire in two different places. Is that true? I haven't been following the news on Washington. I know that there was fires in Spokane. But, because I'm seeing the power lines, and then I'm seeing Smokey talking about somebody having a campfire that got away from them. And I'm still asking, arson, was there any arson? I will say this, I do think arson has been a part of a number of fires in certain places. I have gotten that in the past. I'm not seeing it here, though. Could be wrong, but I'm not seeing it. Hey, Libby, you want to weigh in? Only you can prevent forest fires. Yeah, that's the slogan. Only you can prevent forest fires, June. Oh, so Rita Rader said there were 3 fires. Okay. So I only tuned into 2. I saw one caused by a power line and one caused by a campfire that went amiss. But you're seeing an arson? Okay. And other people weigh in. If you're picking up something, let me know. Oh, okay. So someone is saying that the Spokane fires had a very suspicious burn um, pattern. Oh, this person is saying, I don't know if you're talking about LA or Spokane. Kendra said that someone witnessed a person starting fires. Is that you talking about Washington? Let me know. Someone else is saying an arson confessed. All right, so I didn't get that. I got a campfire and I got a power line. Um, so the arson confessed. You're talking about LA. Or you're talking about Spokane because yeah, there we did have some people actually arrested here. Even though when I was saying it, everyone was annoyed, like that's not true, but it was. Um, Libby, I'm not coming down under. I was going to come down under for this conference. I decided that instead of going to this parapsychology conference in Australia, I got invited to a Sundance in Canada. So I'm going to the Sundance. Um, so I'm not going to be down under, at least not this year, maybe in the future. Um, Yeah, I've got some Haitian ancestors. It's just Haitians have been so mistreated for so long by so many people, but mostly by us and the French. Um, yeah, but we are at 2 hours. We got 600 people still in the room. Thank you for being here. Oh, okay. Someone's giving us more information. We got a name now. Aaron Farinacci in Spokane was witness starting the fire. So, shows you I was wrong. I didn't pick that up. Thanks for sharing. Um, they arrested someone in Spokane. Okay, that's good to know. Um, yes, I do agree with Erica Myers that I have picked up that a lot of fires that we've been seeing lately are intentionally set. I agree with that. But when I tuned in just now, I wasn't able to pick that up for that. But apparently several people are saying that they've arrested some people. So, sorry to hear that. I'm sorry to hear that it was arson. Um, Someone else is saying there wasn't an arrest. So, I guess, I don't know what's... Here's this person, Deborah, who said there was a suspicious burn pattern. So, I am coming to Canada in about a week. I'm going to Seattle and then Montana and then Winnipeg. So I'll be up there in like another week. All right, so I think I'm done. We're at 2 hours, but thanks for being here. Thank you for all your questions. Thank you for your gems and your gifts and your coffees and your questions. And I will see you next week. I'm not doing any public speaking on my trip, so that's why I haven't announced it, because it's just friends and ceremonies and gatherings. No work. I'll do some work, but not a lot. All right, so I'll see you all next time. Take care.